What's up, comic book fans? Pete here from Comic Books Transformed, where me and my good friend Brian over there discuss comics that have been turned into streaming movies and shows. So we are, 8 episodes into Daredevil at this point, Brian?
This is 7, I believe.
Okay, never mind. But guys, we're going to talk about Daredevil episode 7 then, for Daredevil Born Again. I'm going to chew on a nut for a minute. Brian, did you like this episode?
Yeah, I've enjoyed the show so far. I don't know. There's a couple points where I'm like, that's a little unbelievable. It's a little hard to disregard.
Okay.
But I don't know. I guess, like last week, I said that like you were 100% right about Muse being that kid that showed up at the book signing, and then it just like happened all super fast.
It did.
And it seemingly is over, which is kind of weird and unexpected.
Yes. I did think for a little bit this episode that, maybe Buck is actually Muse for some reason, because they showed a lot of Buck this episode.
Yeah.
You know? And I kept looking at his eyes. I wanted to like look real close and be like, oh, he has the same eyes.
That's what really sold me on the fact that it was the book signing guy, because of the eyes.
Yeah.
From last week, from this episode 6.
Yeah. And so that brings up a point I wanted to say to you, which is I don't think that Muse is a like super compelling, interesting villain. I think he's only from this one Charles Soule arc from, I don't know, maybe closer to 10 years ago at this point. And I just think aesthetically he looks really cool. Like he's a cool looking villain.
Yeah, he does have an interesting look. I think the artist angle is always interesting because it's like the crazy tortured artist sort of character.
Right.
And I don't know. Maybe I was expecting more because, I mean, Daredevil has some really good villains. I'm obviously Kingpin, Bullseye coming to mind, top of mind, The Hand, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually read something earlier today that the proposed Netflix season 4 Daredevil would have had Typhoid Mary.
Oh, yeah. They're missing her. That's right.
Would have been pretty cool. I hope they use her at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It just felt like he was bubbling up to do something more than just be the catalyst to get Matt back as Daredevil and Kingpin back to more crime-oriented things.
Yeah. He just kind of was fulfilling that role. And then I was thinking, well, maybe they were going to take it a little bit further. And his name is Muse. Like maybe he was really trying to like be the muse for Daredevil to come back or something like that. And and you had said a couple of like maybe even our first recording of this where you said that you thought Foggy might actually be Muse, or like you had heard some kind of crazy Mephisto level rumor that Foggy was
and that generally falls under the like it's too crazy to be true sort of thing. Like it's usually an obvious thing,
right?
And in this case, the book kid, whose name is Bastion. I don't think we knew his name was Bastion before this episode, so I'm still calling him the book kid. So,
but then, like, did they even like kind of explain a motive for him? Like they're implying that he knew like mixed martial arts. I think they said it was jujitsu, taekwondo. Okay, sorry. And so they're saying that like they learned about him once they were onto him, and they said, okay, well he killed his taekwondo teacher. Or they suspect that he did, but did they ever kind of explain why he had that particular style? Not really, right?
Yes, yeah. They said that his parents made him do it. He hated it, and his parents made him do it.
Right. Well, they said that
but Taekwondo. He wanted to be an artist, and his parents made him do some kind of sport, which just sounds so kind of like dumb.
Right.
Also, like I don't know, like we're both parents. My son plays a sport. One of your daughters plays a sport.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if they don't want to do it, and you're forcing them to do it. Are they going to be that good at it?
That is a good point. Yes.
I know they kind of floated that away, but it's like, they hired this super good Taekwondo master to train him.
Right.
Who he murdered, even though he hated doing it.
Right, but isn't that even still like a leap though to go from like I hate Taekwondo, so I killed my teacher? Okay, I get that, even though that's
I don't want
ridiculous.
to do it anymore. Like just
Right. But I get like that connection, but then to be like I take the blood from 60 different people and make these murals that are specific to Daredevil and Kingpin. Like I feel like that's where does that come from?
I think it was just it was really building on Heather's work of in that book signing. She had mentioned, she was looking to explore the mask and what it does and what it means to society, or why do people wear a mask, things like that. I think that was kind of already floating in his head beforehand. He probably was active before that particular book signing. Maybe she had said that previously. We don't know about. So I think it was some kind of like obsession with her. That maybe brought out that side of it, but he was obsessed with masks and all that. And then, Daredevil obviously does wear a mask. And then Kingpin sort of has a mask as well, in the sense that he's two different people, essentially. Even though he doesn't physically wear a mask.
Yeah, a metaphorical mask.
Yes. There you go.
So, okay, well, his girlfriend, Heather, plays like a real big part in this episode. And it's funny, I'm kind of jumping around our little tickers on the bottom there. By the way, our tickers are back. Our background is back. I actually finally took some time to put in some effort into our show. My life hasn't been that crazy for a couple weeks now. But I was going to say that there's this sequence that when I'm watching it, I'm like, come on, they know this is stupid, right? Where Daredevil's like flipping through evidence. And he's got his hand on the paper, so I get it. He's trying to feel like a pattern, right? But like, to me, it doesn't make sense that Daredevil would go rifling through papers.
Yes, it's weird that he went back to the crime scene afterwards, after the police already arrived there, that he had sort of even tipped off his own guy about.
Right, Cherry.
Cherry. And then he just like drops in like Batman almost and just looks at stuff. But he can't look at stuff.
Right.
And it was a bit of a stretch. I mean, I don't know. Maybe are there any blind people watching that listen to this?
Oh God!
Can you feel a painting and of a person and tell them it's that person's face? I mean, it's got to be an artist's interpretation. So I found that to be a little unbelievable.
Right. Because like Bastion would have to be actually a really good artist too, for you to just feel the ridges and stuff in the painting and be like, oh, this painting looks like I imagine my girlfriend's face feels.
They did have her feel her face. They didn't have Matt feel her face early in this episode to set that precedent.
They got some like shower sticks.
Like, couldn't they come up with some other way to figure it out?
Yes. I mean, you could even do something as like super lame as like he takes a book off the shelf and then it's like his girlfriend's books or something. And like he could tell because he's held her books or something. I mean, I know it's kind of stupid, but one of the things I love about Daredevil comics when they're done right is that there are certain things that he's still blind to, even though he has this ridiculous sense where like, someone goes to show him a phone screen as he's Daredevil and he's like, I can't see that. Or it's like, he can't look at a picture and be like, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand that this picture had texture to it. That makes
sense.
You could feel it. But like, I don't know. Just the fact that he felt the picture and he's like, oh, it's Heather.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because he's like, oh my God, as he's feeling them.
Yeah, and then he throws the baton at Powell's head, which
that might. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, that's it.
No, that might be my favorite thing in a Disney Plus Marvel show ever.
Okay.
What? Like he just kind of like casually just goes like, bloop. like it's like he doesn't even think. He doesn't even like turn from where he's like facing. He just goes bloop, and like smacks the guy in the head. Yeah. And it's so stupid, but I just love it.
Yeah, I mean, I was like kind of like at the picture thing. Then I laughed when he threw the baton at his head, and it also did not leave a mark. So
yeah, this gigantic piece of metal thrown by a ninja at your head, and you're spotless. Yeah. So let's talk about Daredevil's powers. I feel like we've actually done this a couple of times in these recordings, but the way they visualize Daredevil's powers in the comics is they often do these sort of like sonar kind of circles that come from Daredevil. Like they're just like around him. And then what they'll also do in the comics is it's kind of funny, Brian, because it kind of reminds me of Transformers the movie when they break down Megatron and the other like the Insecticons. Yes. You know, where it's like they'll take the things around him, but they'll be made up these like little circles.
You know, like the scan lines and all that.
Yeah. But they don't have any kind of equivalent of that in this show. I believe in the Ben Affleck movie, they do kind of show his sight.
I feel like they did in the Netflix show too. They had like this kind of like black and white filter, or maybe I am thinking of the Ben Affleck movie. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because there's a real famous, not famous, but I just seen that I remember because I only saw Daredevil with Ben Affleck like once. But there's that sequence where he's describing his sight to Elektra. He's on the roof and it's raining, and you can see her outline because of the rain. Like he can like hear the rain hitting her body.
Yeah. Yes. I do remember that. But so maybe this was from the show. I'm gonna have to maybe look for an example of it. But I find it weird that they wouldn't try to do something like that, being that they're having him. They're using like all the CG for the more acrobatic combat scenes, and then traversing the rooftops and all that.
Yeah. But with that being said, too, in the comics, it kind of varies as to like how his powers work and what that's like. I think in the Mark Waid run, and maybe before then, they've kind of said that he can see 360 around him, unlike us who can only see forward. Like Daredevil can like see behind him too.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but I get it.
Yeah. Well, because okay, so here's like the other thing, right? Is that like I remember seeing this, I don't know, it's like a TikTok or a fucking YouTube short or something like that, where they were talking about different superheroes should trade names with each other or like aliases. Like they say that Daredevil should be Batman.
Yeah, because it really is like a bat sonar.
Right. And I think that they said that Ghost Rider should be called Daredevil because he's a stunt man. But I think Ghost Rider is pretty applicable.
Yeah.
Besides calling him Skullhead. So let's talk about some other things. You mentioned Cherry before. There was a good scene where Cherry confronts Matt about becoming Daredevil again.
Yes. Before that scene, did you think that he knew he was Daredevil?
Well, that's where I was confused, Brian, because Cherry at the very end, he walks out, and then Matt says to him, years ago, you would have called me first. And it was like implying like, did he have Daredevil's phone number or something?
Yeah, like I feel like that implies that he knows Matt is Daredevil.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole conversation really implies that, but I don't think they clued anyone into that prior to that scene.
Right, because when the show starts, I didn't watch all of the Netflix show, but when the show starts, Matt has his mask off and he's like just screaming because Foggy died. And Cherry looks at him and he goes, Matt? Like, kind of like, I can't believe Matt is Daredevil.
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that from the first episode.
Yeah, it's in that sequence in the beginning, yeah.
Interesting. No, I don't remember that. I mean, I know Cherry was not in the Netflix show. I know that. But I'll have to go back and check that out.
Yeah. But so the Cherry scene is pretty brief and it's cool, but I like whenever they show that actor because I like that guy. He's a good director. He's a good actor. He's on Homicide: Life on the Street, not in the street. And did I mention how Vincent D'Onofrio was on that show too, or no?
Oh no, I don't think so.
Little connective tissue. So the guy plays Cherry. He was this character named Meldrick. There's a very famous episode of Homicide: Life on the Street where Vincent D'Onofrio is like this guest actor. He's on the show. He actually gets pushed towards a subway train in Baltimore where the show takes place, and he gets stuck between the train and the platform.
Okay.
And so they investigate his murder, even though he's still alive. He is going to die because he's stuck.
Yeah, as soon as they take it apart. Yeah.
Right. Because that's how the episode ends. Spoiler for this show. It's like over 20 years ago.
Horrible.
Yeah. Because when they tell him he's going to live, and they're working on trying to save him, but then once they're able to separate the platform, he dies like right away. Right. But they're able to like investigate his murder, and Meldrick, the guy who plays Cherry, is the one investigating his murder on the show, and then it's Vincent D'Onofrio.
Interesting.
Yeah. If you ever get a chance to watch the show, it's fucking incredible. It's made by the people that made The Wire. It's like so good.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So let's talk about what happens with Muse though, and his attack at the very end.
Yeah. Yes, I do think Muse's intention was to kill Heather. That's what the tarp was. It was going to be some kind of like big mural, so to speak, but on the floor. And he gets interrupted, obviously, by Daredevil, who shoots a grappling hook through his shoulder.
Right.
Which, I mean, I found that to be a little unbelievable as well, but I didn't mind because it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt very rushed. And it was pretty intense too, because he was going to take the blood out of her arm. He was starting to take the blood out, and but he makes a really deep cut in that arm.
Totally agree. Yeah, and they focus on it at one point because it kind of has like a makeshift tourniquet on her arm, like a tube, I think, and you see the blood kind of leaking out of her arm.
Yeah.
That
was a little creepy because I don't know. That's like almost like suicide-esque.
Yes. It was very like horror movie, and his look and stuff is very horror movie.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I also found it just. I mean, he definitely went there with the intent because obviously he had the giant duffel bag with all the shit in it.
And his costume and everything, right?
Yeah, which it just seems like a weird thing walking around with, I guess. But where do you put it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that was his intent the entire time there.
He puts it in his ass.
It's like a flat ring, but it just goes in his ass instead.
Yes. And when he's taking the train, he's got a real weird look on his face. He's like, I'm so amused right now.
But yeah, it is essentially he was the point was him killing his own Muse, which was kind of I feel like was involved in getting him started on this path in some regard.
Yes, and in Soviet Russia, Muse kills Muse. Because Heather ends up killing him. One of the tickers I just had was, did you think that Muse was going to kill Heather? Did you, Brian, think that?
It seemed that way because I feel like although they did kill Foggy, I feel like we're owed Karen Page's death, sort of.
Yeah.
So I figured they have to kill somebody at some point.
Yeah.
One of Daredevil's girlfriends.
Yeah. It's funny because I kind of have these standards for these shows that we watch and just things in general where I think, okay, what's the purpose of this? What kind of purpose is this character fulfilling for the other characters, right? And there's the whole idea of fridging by Gail Simone, which I know you're familiar with, but I'll just kind of say it real quick for everybody else, which is the idea that, like, especially women, specifically women in comic books, will often get killed to kind of fulfill a role for the male superhero, right?
To motivate action by the protagonist, yeah.
Right. So I was kind of like thinking about that and thinking about her. And I was thinking, well, what's her purpose on the show? Because, I mean, obviously you need some kind of male interest. I mean, female interest because Matt Murdock is a player and he gets around. But besides that, what other role does she fulfill? And is it just to get killed by this serial killer? I was thinking, though, that she does have that connection with Kingpin and his wife, where she's seeing them as well. And then her whole shtick is vigilantes. I mean, she even says, I think, to Muse at one point, people that wear masks are cowards, right?
Yeah. Yes, she does.
Yeah.
I feel this season really has been Daredevil and Kingpin have been away from their usual paths in life.
Yeah.
And this is getting them back onto those paths as Daredevil and as the crime boss Kingpin.
Yes.
And she does help both of them in that regard, really, I think.
Yeah.
So
her dying would have been premature. And for this first half of the season, I know I've asked you this like 15 times, but like, is there only 2 more episodes for this part of the season?
Yes, there's 2 more, and then that's it.
Okay.
The question I have is if it's both next week or not.
Oh, yeah. So there's a couple of like loose ends for them to pick up. I mean, Muse dying is kind of like, okay, well, the main arc is done at this point.
They're not both next week. The 8th and the 15th.
Nice. So then there was just a couple of other things to touch upon with this episode. There was James Gandolfini's son, Daniel, and he has this little speech that he gives BB. And he says, that you could either make this amazing speech, which is going to like improve your life. Choice, which is going to improve your life, or you can make this horrible choice that's going to make your life horrible. And what do you think that choice is?
She posted about, Kingpin walks into the crime scene, and he says to one of the police officers on his task force, like, no, Daredevil wasn't here. It was you guys that saved Heather and stopped Muse. You guys are the heroes. But she posted a headline that it was somebody else. Or it was Daredevil or something like that. And he wants her. What the hell is this? Daniel wants her to retract the story, and that's the choice. If she retracts the story, she can set him up. She can set her up to help her career, and if not, he's gonna make her life a living hell.
Okay, so that's all it comes down to is just like, I'll help your career if you don't let it seem like, if you cover up that Daredevil was involved.
Basically. Yeah, because basically he's saying like, you made me look like an idiot with the Mayor Garbage or whatever story, and you owe me, and I'm willing to help you still if you do this, but if you don't, swim with the fishes.
There you go. Speaking of swimming with the fishes and the fact that this kid is James Gandolfini's son, did you see that they actually at one point had considered James Gandolfini for the role of Jack in Titanic?
Really?
I mean, maybe I'm just fully I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I saw this on Instagram or something where they showed an old headshot of James Gandolfini, he's a lot younger. Yeah. Titanic was 1996, I think. And they were saying that he would play Jack. I mean, do you think that that's
I can't picture him not being semi-balding. So it's I can't imagine it.
Yeah. If there's anyone that's watching this that knows what I'm talking about or thinks it's true, please leave a message in the comments. I want to know. But it was funny because they were saying that he was too intense. They did some auditions and he was just kind of too intense to be Jack.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, that's random shit. Let's go back to the Kingpin and his wife. So, did you think at any point that Vanessa was truly setting him up to be killed by that thug?
Yes, I did believe it briefly. Because the scene where she meets with Luca, she does seem to be generally dissatisfied with how the Kingpin is handling the crime portions. He seems to be hands off of it in a way, and the complaint of nobody earning anything, and then things were better under Vanessa while he was gone. I did believe it because they haven't really come to that resolution from those marriage counseling therapy sessions yet. So they do seem to be at odds at some points, but this kind of very clearly to me sends the opposite message that they're very much in sync, and that she's not going to betray him for any reason. I mean, we clearly see that he is extremely loyal to her.
Yeah.
Maybe with the whole Adam thing aside.
Right.
But I think this is now also her proving that. Well, although does she know about that Adam thing?
Yeah.
It's that's the place where he did that.
Right. Well, I was thinking that that might have been the catalyst to make her betray him. Was that she found out about what happened to Adam and then, set him up,
The other thing too is she told the guy Luca, he's alone. Why the hell would he go there by himself?
I know. It's just to have that scene. It's just basically to be you think this is the case with Kingpin and his wife, but no, it's not. That's the whole point of that scene. Yeah. But yeah, I did think when they first showed him walking in that it was going to be him first and 15 other guys, and they were going to go in there.
Yeah, I really was expecting that Vanessa was double crossing him, and then he was just going to have to beat the shit out of a bunch of, thugs.
Right. Because doesn't the Kingpin do something like that in Daredevil season 2, where he fights a bunch of prisoners in jail?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds he prefers boxing.
Oh yeah. That actually was a great line. Yeah. Yeah. Vincent D'Onofrio is just so fucking great. And I love the beginning of this episode before the credits come on where he's told that Daredevil is back. And he kind of has that moment.
Do you honestly think he got an erection from that?
I know I did. So yeah, he must have, right?
Oh. I feel like there was like a subtle look in his eyes, like.
Yeah. It's like, where's that Muse outfit that I can shove up my ass? You know.
I really have to clarify that. We both just made jokes about, Vincent D'Onofrio's delivery of the character, but I fucking love it. It's so good.
Oh yeah, you kidding me? Yeah.
So like, I'm not trying to take it down, but it's so good.
No, yeah, it's funny because I'm recording this episode as I normally do at my mom's apartment. I mention her a lot, and in her room in her apartment, there's a signed picture from Vincent D'Onofrio.
Really?
Yeah, because she loved him on whatever Law and Order show he was on, and
wow,
it's a picture of him in Law and Order. Yeah.
So wait, here's a real question for you. Is it more fun to do the Kingpin voice or the Penguin voice?
Oh my God. I would say the Kingpin voice, even though I think I'm better.
It's close.
They are. Yes. God, I sometimes see commercials for that show just like on YouTube, and I'm like, that was so fucking good.
Yeah.
So speaking of this show, though, do you have any more to say about Daredevil season 3, episode 7?
No, I guess that's pretty much it here. I don't know. I guess we're just gonna get a clash between the two of them by the end here. Just excited to see what happens.
Boom. Yeah, so that was very quick for us. Usually we kind of take more than a half hour, but there's 2 other talking points that we can bring up too. Last week, Brian, we were going to talk about that Marvel video game called Cosmic Invasion, right?
Yes. There was a trailer released last week. It's from, I forget the developers who's making it, but it's from the same people that made the recent Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Yeah. So it's like a classic side-scrolling beat-em-up game. I found it interesting because the villain is a Nihilus, and there's going to be 15 playable characters in it. They have a couple X-Men in there. They have Spider-Man and Venom, and then they have Nova and Phyla-Vell, which is awesome. Like, it's just things you would not expect. And it took me, I think I texted you about it at first. I'm like, what Nova is this? And it took me a while to realize, like, oh, that's not a chick. That's 90s Richard Rider with like the long hair.
The long hair. That's right. That's right.
It just took me so long for that to register.
Yep. So nowadays, whenever there's any kind of like Marvel comic event, I always tie it to, well, what is happening in the MCU? Because like if there's a big event, like for instance, I'll give you an example, like Blood Hunt. I think that they probably anticipated that Blade was coming out around the time that Blood Hunt was going to happen.
Yep.
And that's why they had this big Blade event. And then, Blade, I think Blade actually has been like officially canceled at this point, right?
I think it's shelved. I don't know if it's fully canceled because I think it just doesn't fit into the time. And I think they lost a bunch of personnel on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was like at least 3 different directors assigned to it. But like what I was going to say, though, just to bring it back to this video game that you're talking about, is I feel like I had heard about a Nova TV show, and I was thinking that this game was going to sort of like build up to that or like get people excited about Nova.
Yeah, no, that could definitely work. There was the rumor of the special presentation, and then I think what you're talking about was actually like a full series, which I totally would watch, but I definitely would be wary of a sci-fi series here.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many like weird aliens that you just couldn't do it justice,
No way in hell
on a TV budget.
Right.
But the one thing I'm wondering if it's still sort of may support is the comic event Imperial.
Oh, with Hickman.
Yeah.
Do you know any details about that?
I know it has something to do with Professor X now and Lilandra. Because that was the resolution, I think, of a recent X-Men story that I have not read yet. The X-Men Hunt.
Oh, what the fuck is that? What book is that in?
I think it's in the regular X-Men and Uncanny. Maybe another one too. I'm not sure, but basically, Professor X gets out of that prison, and I think he escapes to space with Lilandra.
But I thought Alondra was dead in the comics.
Is Lilandra dead?
So in the comics, and this happens in the Krakoa stuff that we read, like Laranja. I think fuck, I can't say her name without sounding like an idiot. Lilandra. I'm pretty sure that she gets killed by like some fucking Darkhawk people. Because
maybe he's looking for their daughter then.
Correct. Yeah.
Maybe so that makes more sense.
Yeah, like, I'm kind of taking us all over the map here, but to me, all this stuff is super interesting and exciting. Like in the comics, the Darkhawk is just one of many that are like called Raptors. They kind of retconned it to where they're like these assassins that work for the Shi'ar, but basically keep the galaxy in order. And they're evil, right? Because they're sort of like evil, manipulative assassins. And one of them becomes Chris Powell, Darkhawk. But I'm pretty sure that one of them killed Lilandra. And then the Empress of the Shi'ar Empire, or the Shi'ar Magisterium, I think it's called, or whatever the fuck it is Charles Xavier's daughter with Lilandra.
Yes. And I can't remember her name right now.
Yeah. Because for a while, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
No, because for a while, the head of the Shi'ar Empire was Gladiator. Like he was filling in for Lilandra.
Yes. But then they found her, I think it was actually in the Gambit and Rogue book.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Mrs. X, which was very good.
Yeah.
And then I think she was been running things since then. Or maybe she got dethroned because there was that whole Empire storyline too that I don't know what the heck was that was about.
Oh, okay. Well, since people want to hear just random snippets of Marvel events, Empire, the idea behind that was Hulkling he's part Skrull and part Kree. And so it's like essentially him uniting the Kree and the Skrull empires together. And then there's this other race called the Chitauri or the Chitauri, and they're basically no, it's not the Chitauri. So I think it's called the Chitauri or something like that. And they're basically like these kind of plant-based people, right? And they have like a society that's on the moon. There's all this like random shit on the moon randomly in the Marvel universe. And in the comics, like there's this kid who is like the son of some Chitauri guy and Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. And he's supposed to be like this messiah figure, and he's the main force that is against them in Empire.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I was not reading a lot at the time, so I definitely skipped over that event.
Yeah.
So
it's weird because it like doesn't really seem to have that much of an impact on Marvel Comics, but yet it like restructures the whole fucking galaxy they live in.
It's funny. It's like they have these events that seem small, but it's regarding the entire galaxy, and when we're generally concerned with just the smaller Earth-based stuff. Although I mean, I do actually really like the cosmic stuff. So.
Oh, I love it. I fucking love it. Yeah. So, what I was gonna say, that if you got other thoughts on this game too, I want to hear them. But like, to me, if I ever hear that, they're making this into a series versus a movie, I always feel really let down, because with the Disney Plus stuff, I think I've only truly liked WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, this Daredevil show, and then maybe like one other show that we've covered. Yeah. Even Loki, I kind of have some issues with, but I did like
Loki season 2 was so good for me. Like it really was.
Yeah, but I mean, we've covered like all this shit. I mean, even Agatha All Along is pretty good too.
Yeah, that's right. Agatha was pretty good too. Yeah. I definitely think there are some things that lend themselves to a smaller scale and TV. But it is just hard to swallow that smaller TV budget overseeing things as a movie.
Right.
And I think that's really what the big thing is there. But like, I think about since I mentioned Penguin before, like I think about that versus this show. Like I would think Penguin is a better show.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's like there is something missing from this. Even though I am enjoying it, there's something missing from it that is not elevating it to the level of that show. Because it's fairly similar. It's all this crime politics stuff. I mean, there's no heroes really in Penguin, but like there's something missing from Daredevil, from this Daredevil show that show had.
Yes, and I think to address that, like HBO, regardless of the showrunner or like the subject matter, there is kind of like an HBO aesthetic. I think there's a lot of directors that go to all different HBO shows, and then there's sort of like the HBO bigger budget shows like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Raised by Wolves that me and Danny watched. Then of course shows like The Sopranos and even Penguin and stuff, where you see a lot of the same actors jump from show to show, where it's like the same people, same directors. So even though it's all different creative people involved and different subject matter, there still is this feeling of like, oh, this is an HBO show.
And I'm curious if the budget. I mean, you see the same thing with Disney, Netflix too. The same creators just getting swapped around these different franchises and stuff like that. Like how many people have we seen in hop between Marvel and Star Wars and other things on Disney, and then Netflix too. Especially with creators, they have those like creator deals that they do with certain directors. But like, I wonder how much greater the budget was on the HBO shows than compared to a Disney Plus show.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is I think it really is who's behind the camera and what the intent is, right? Because HBO has all these different shows with different ideas and even like different types of stories they want to tell. But I feel like they've always kind of been like, well, we have to have sex and we have to have like violence, like really upsetting violence. Because like whether you're watching 6 Feet Under, which is about a family running a funeral home, or The Sopranos, where it's criminals in New Jersey, or like Carnival, you always have to have like some kind of random explicit sex scene, and then you have to have like kind of brutal violence that can be kind of jarring. And I think
that was the original selling point of most HBO shows, is that they weren't limited by broadcast standards or cable standards even. So
yeah,
but like technically neither is Disney Plus or Netflix, but still HBO has that pedigree.
Right. And I think that it's been around for decades at this point. And so people expect a certain quality from HBO. They expect more compelling storytelling. Disney Plus itself is a much more newer entity, and it's got that Disney sheen to it where like, yeah, in Daredevil, they like say fuck and stuff, right? And like the Daredevil kind of has sex in the shower with his girlfriend at one point, but it's not that kind of like explicit thing,
Yeah. That was also a funny scene to me in a way.
Them having sex in the shower?
Yes, only because it's like, Matt, you have these bruises on you, and it's like, oh, don't worry about that. Worry about this. I don't know.
Here's my billy club. I'll bounce that off your forehead. But anyway, well, so we're kind of all over the map, but I think it makes it an interesting conversation.
Yeah, no, I agree.
What I was gonna say was the other thing besides this video game was that video that I shared with you. Did you watch that video on?
I didn't watch the whole video, no.
Tony Stark,
but I got the premise of it. I'm so afraid of spoilers these days. Like, I don't want to know too much about a movie, even though I may know the source material, which may spoil it anyway. I really think that I would have enjoyed Wolverine and Deadpool a lot more had I not known every fucking little thing in it.
Right.
But
so do you want to give context to the people? Like,
yes,
listen at home?
This video. Do you remember the creators, so we can get them some kind of credit?
I'll pull it up real quick. But yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
So essentially, they're saying that that the reason why Robert Downey Jr. is Doctor Doom is because he was in the MCU. He was always Doctor Doom. He was not Tony Stark, and he was a variant of some kind. And this was all caused by set up by He Who Remains to prevent Doom from being in this the sacred timeline, I guess.
Right.
That sum it up well enough?
I think that's a really good job. And like, to me, the reason why this is actually appealing, even though it seems so far-fetched and like kind of almost like they're putting in too much effort to retcon something, is that it doesn't, like, it feels gimmicky to be like, oh, well, in this reality, the Tony Stark or Victor Von Doom looks like Tony Stark. Like, I feel like that's kind of gimmicky and doesn't feel good. But the idea of like that you take Doom as an infant and give him to Stark's parents, and I guess maybe Stark, maybe died as a child or something in this reality, and Doom is replacing him. The idea of like, oh, in every other reality, this guy is Victor Von Doom, but in this reality, he is Tony Stark. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, no, that is a very interesting angle. And again, this goes back to when I said earlier about how Muse might have been foggy. It's like, although this would be a really good angle, I think, as opposed to, I don't think foggy being Muse makes a lot of sense. It's too good to be true.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So there's no way that's going to be it.
Exactly. The video, the people that made the video called The Den of Nerds, and the video is called This Theory Explains RDJ Dr. Doom. He was never Stark. That's what the video is called.
Yeah, and really the brilliant thing is it sets them up to be able to cast a new person as Tony Stark for what I am expecting to be at least a soft reboot of the MCU post Secret Wars.
1000% exactly. But you know me, we've discussed this before. I've always loved the idea of like Kang manipulating history so that mutants didn't exist in the MCU. That like they were in their own timeline, but had they been in the MCU, they would have like thwarted his plans. And I think, go ahead.
I think that would be fantastic, and that this adds to that. It almost. Have you read? I've been reading the Ultimates lately, like the newer version. Have you read that or no?
I read like Ultimate Invasion, but I haven't read any of the like Ultimate Spider-Man or anything like that.
I gotta spoil it a little bit. So you read Ultimate Invasion. This is enough to understand it. So if you have not read that, Ultimate Invasion from 2023, and then it's like Ultimate Spider-Man and the Ultimates all coming out like right now in 2025.
Yeah, there's like Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Black Panther, I think.
And then now there's Ultimate Wolverine too, which I'm very curious to read.
Yes.
Anyway, the idea is that the Maker, who is one of the two surviving people from the original Ultimate Universe, along with Miles Morales, comes in to try and recreate his universe. But he does it in a way to kind of make it his own and to put himself in power. So he kind of interrupts the origins of many heroes that would have opposed him and corrupts others that he can use to his advantage. So in this world, like there's this group of rulers and rich people that have essentially carved up the world and rule it. So there's not, the United States of America does not exist in this world, which almost feels like it's not going to feel like that in the real world much longer.
Yep.
Anyway, so where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought. I hate myself.
Well, no, please don't hate yourself.
Oh, okay. So we were saying that Kang was kind of curating this universe to fit his needs. And this is kind of what the Maker did in this newer Ultimate Universe. And now Tony Stark is basically trying to fix the world, trying to right all the wrongs that the Maker did. So maybe they could have a new Tony Stark right all the wrongs of Kang or something like that.
Yeah. There's so much story potential, and I think that's the danger of the fantasy booking that we do, because it'll just be disappointing compared to what we imagine.
Yeah, because there's also, I mean, the fact that I forgot to say that in that universe, the Maker basically stopped the Fantastic Four from existing, but he let Reed live, but then like tortured him and like messed them all up and makes him think he's Doom, sort of.
Right. So, that version.
So Dr. Doom is kind of with the Ultimates, although it's Reed Richards.
Yeah.
So, like, all this stuff with Kang and Doom and now Tony Stark involved. There's got to be. It would be great if this connectivity existed in some manner, and they did pull from this. But I just, like you just said, it's just too good to be true.
Right. No, I need to read those fucking Ultimate comics because of what you're saying about them. And I still have my Marvel Unlimited account. But I will tell you something fucked up. For some reason, I had to go renew my Marvel Unlimited account, and it charged me like 4 times for my account. Yeah. I reached out to tech support. I don't think they've written back to me, but like, it's like $10 a pop. So it's like $40 to subscribe for something that's $10 a month,
Holy shit. That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully they'll fix it. I don't know. But no, who knows what's gonna happen with Doomsday and with Secret Wars. I mean, I think we kind of have an idea what Secret Wars will be like. Really, what it'll be exciting is to see I just want to hear Robert Downey Jr. talk as Doctor Doom. Is he going to have an accent? Is he going to kind of play up that he is from Eastern Europe?
I'm saying there's going to not going to be an accent. I don't think he can pull off an accent.
Interesting.
And make it serious and believable.
Did you see Oppenheimer?
I did not, but did he play somebody German there? Who did he play? I forget.
No, he plays an American, but he's not like Tony Stark in that movie. I think that like we kind of just think of he has an accent as Sherlock Holmes, right?
Sorta, maybe.
Sort of.
I do think I'm not knocking him as an actor.
Yeah.
I just think that some people you just kind of get a vibe they can't pull off a believable accent, and also like that kind of Eastern European accent is kind of vague. I think it's hard to define, I guess.
Right.
And I just it's going to depend on what angle they do, but I don't think they'll do an accent. Okay. I don't think he'll have that kind of like quippy style of speaking. I think he'll absolutely ditch that. Mm-hmm. But I don't think there'll be an accent.
Okay, yeah, like a serious kind of role. Yeah. Well, I guess we're gonna have to see. And like, I just really want to hear him talk. I want to see what he looks like in the mask, and then as long as they kind of nail that, whatever backstory they give him, like I just want them to do justice to this character and give him that weight that he deserves. I don't want him to just seem like I definitely don't want to be fucking goofy at all.
Yeah, that's what I want. Like a lot of people consider Doom to be like the best villain.
Yeah.
Like a superhero villain, I should say. Out of the big two.
At
least. And I really would like to see them do it well. But at the same time, there is sort of a campiness to the character where there can be. Like there's plenty of instances where Doom is like super corny in various books. But the ones where he's not are so good.
Agreed. Totally agree. Well, I think about Ultron, and I think about how like Ultron in the comics can be very, very scary in the comics. But then like Ultron in the MCU, not really scary, actually kind of quippy. And it makes sense because he's like a creation of Tony Stark, right?
Yeah, he was based off of some like AI or personality scan of Tony's.
Right. So it like that's why Ultron kind of makes like little jokes and stuff. And I think it kind of works because it's James Spader, and Robert Downey Jr. has actually worked with James Spader, I think, even multiple times. But I just don't want like a Doom that's making jokes and No. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I gotta say, with all this stuff and all the stuff we're talking about, I'm kind of excited about Marvel right now. I'm looking forward to the next. What's the next? Is the next movie Fantastic Four?
Thunderbolts.
Oh, yes. Okay. So we got that. We got two more Daredevils. Go ahead.
Two more Daredevils, Thunderbolts in May, and then we have I don't remember if The Last of Us is next or God, what's the other show? There's two things coming. The Last of Us and Andor are both very soon.
Yeah. So. And did you and I cover Tales of the Empire, the Star Wars show? I know we covered Tales of the Jedi, right?
I don't think we did, no.
Okay. Because there's another one coming out for Star Wars called Tales of the Underworld. And it's like criminal stuff. So yeah. I can tell you some stuff about that too. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, did you have anything else you wanted to say about any of the things that we were talking about today?
No, I think I'm good here.
Sweet. Okay. Well then we will say goodbye to you guys. We got two more Daredevils left. Then Andor, like Brian was saying, and then Last of Us. So if you guys haven't subscribed to Comic Books Transformed, please do. You can also tell us what you think about the idea of Robert Downey Jr. actually not being Tony Stark. That's not our concept, but I want to hear what you think about it. And just thanks so much for watching. You guys are so freaking sexy and cute. I want to give you all a Muse mask treatment.